Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun. All the idea, but none of the gear. That's the way we like things on No Budget Reviews, viewers. I think I'm going to have some terrible puns in this video, and I can only apologise in advance for that. This is a 2007 Fiat Idea 1.4 Eleganza. These are exceptionally rare cars in this country. Many of you will already have seen this car on the Furioussdriving channel because Mr Richardson exchanged his Beetle for this. The owner, I think, actually has two others of these. The one he was going to swap for the Beetle failed its MOT for rust. Yep, just like the Beetle failed its MOT for rust. This one though is okay, it's just had a new MOT and there are no rust advisories, so we're okay. This is a very, very late UK market Fiat Idea. They were only imported into this country from early 2004 to early 2007. This was registered in March 2007 and one of the last registered. Facelifted car, the facelift occurred in early 2006. And the main difference is actually the colour of the indicators at the front. I think the rear lights are slightly different, maybe the wheel trims, and the fact this has a 6-speed gearbox. Only the two upper specs, the Dynamic and the Eleganza 1.4s, actually got a 6-speed gearbox with the facelift in 2006. The base spec, active, and everything before the facelift only had a 5-speed manual. There was also the dual logic automatic available, which is a robotised manual. I would absolutely and utterly avoid that gearbox. I've used one in a Fiat 500 hire car in Italy many years ago and they are awful. Stick with the manual if you're going to actually get Fiat with that particular engine. This is based on the same platform as the Mark II Punto, the 188 type Punto, and it was much more successful in other countries than in the UK. In some countries it was made until 2012, mainly for continental Europe, and then in Brazil I think it was 2016 and Argentina 2018, and they had a whole different range of engines. Look at the back, we can see we've actually got parking sensors, so this Eleganza model, absolute top of the range. We've got the panoramic roof as well, which is nice. I think there's actually two of them in this car. One of the main differences between this and a Mark II Punto straight away is the amount of boot space. Huge, huge space. I couldn't quite find a figure online, but there's really not much information out there about these cars. They weren't sold for very long in this country, but are much more popular elsewhere in the world. I imagine it's close to 300 litres. It depends, of course, in this car, because you can recline and slide the rear seats as to where those are, but I've got to think a nice spare wheel in there. That's temporary one. All the tools are there. I think Mr Richardson might already have actually found someone to take this off his hands, actually, from what I understand. But yeah, I'm very privileged to be offered this car by him in this sort of interim period while he actually still has it. I do actually like all of the design touches of this. I think there are 27 separate storage areas in the Fiat Idea, and one of them is just down here, a huge door bin there, and then that's for putting the door shut, but we've also got the door handle here, which is very interesting actually. Not a lot of the interior is actually shared with the Mark II Punto. In fact, the dash isn't anything like it. Very easy to step in and out. and it's very light in here. As you can see, we've got the sunshade for this rear panoramic roof. Released like that. Got two rear interior lights, and we'll see if we can find the release to pull this forward. I'm very bad at doing this in cars with sliding rear seats. It's very hard to do it with one hand, actually. See if we can do it this side. There we go. Yeah, you actually move them individually. Weirdly, this base, it split 60-40, but the backrest is split 40-20-40. So it's very practical. I like this sort of half leather interior as well, which is obviously for the Eleganzas, although this cloth is very, very strange feeling. That's really weird. There's the seat belt in there. There's a solution for putting it somewhere safe when you don't need it. Let's put it up there. There we go. Clips into there. I can imagine this car being really, really nice for a family. We've got little armrests here for the driver and passenger. Got a storage area here for you know, bottles and other family detritus. Adjustable height seat belts. There's the front panoramic roof there with some electric controls. Just seems quite well thought out, particularly because if you have, I don't know, children or elderly relatives, it's going to be very easy to get them in and out, or anybody with mobility issues, of course. I think these door handles are the same as on a Mark III Panda, actually. This enormous kind of the panel here with all the lights on it is not actually the main light switch. That's actually on the stalk here. These are for things like the dashboard lighting, the height of the headlamps, and also the fog lamps. You've got front and rear fog lamps. We've got an Eleganza here. 6-speed manual because this is a late Eleganza. I think these are only available with a petrol engine, actually. There's only one petrol engine available in this country, and it's the good old 1.4 fire engine. Glove box here, glove box there, glove box everywhere. Also, we've got the speedometer that's in the middle, which obviously frees up the dash to have two glove boxes like this, like in, I don't know, it's like a Citroen Zara Picasso. But the problem is that the speedometer is right the way over to the left, and if you're sort of going along forward like this, is where my eye line would be. The rev counter's in my eye line, which is fine. The speedo's right over there. It's not in my eye line, which is a bit annoying. Got steering wheel control, so that's for the volume here. It's truck back and forth from the source. Leather trim steering wheel, of course, because it's the Eleganza. Got city button here. I don't like using the city button in Fiat, to be honest, viewers. It makes the steering horrifically light. It's probably the 6-speed manual than the Fiat Panda 100 horsepower, isn't it? Dual zone climate control in this car. I will switch it on with the key in a second and have a look at that display up there as well. And just a very sort of simple, typical kind of mid-2000s interior. This ghillie was a bit warm, but you know, this car is now over 15 years old. Nice normal handbrake, more storage under there as well with some cup holders. Relatively narrow door bins, although you've got all other places to put stuff, so it's not hugely concerned. And then, yeah, you can adjust the panoramic roof here, blind again that does that, hooks in there and then goes back. I can see why Mr Richardson likes this. Door locking switch here. That's the window locking switch. Excellent. Let's see if my secret mission documents go into one of these glove boxes, shall we? That's always what we need to do. Let's try this one on the left. No. Nope. Not really. Take that off there, viewers, I'm afraid. I don't want it to catapult itself onto the passenger's lap when you stop suddenly. That wouldn't be good. All around electric windows as well. That electric mirror switch looks very familiar. I think it's been used on lots and lots of Fiat Group products over the years. Right, let's have a look under the bonnet, shall we? Here is the 1.4 16 valve fire engine, in this case generating 95 horsepower. It's very similar to the engine in the Fiat 100 horsepower that we had on the channel back in 2020. It's not quite the same. That generated about maybe sort of 4 or 5 more horsepower than this. Same sort of gearbox though, the 6-speed manual. This engine actually had a very, very long life. It was launched in the mid-80s. But obviously this had been quite thoroughly reworked by the time that the Idea was launched in 2004 for our market, 2003 and some others. And this 95 horsepower 1.4 was actually used in various different guises until about 2020. I think the Fiat Tipo had it and some other cars as well, which is remarkable really. They are a camber engine, you do have to watch that and make sure it's been done. Also on these, the electrics can be quite bad on them, and also the rust on the floors of these and the Mark II Puntos is legendary for being really, really bad. But yeah, it's just interesting to see one of these. There's a bit of lack appeal on the front, as you can see. It's not as bad on video as it is in real life. Interestingly, we've got a front fog lamp switch, which you can clearly see, but no front fog lamps. That's odd, isn't it? Right, let's have a look at actually at this dash that I forgot to do a little bit earlier. We'll just have a look at that. Okay, Mr Richardson has told me that I should not leave this key in the ignition whilst I get out of the car because it will lock itself, and that's not good. So we won't do that. You can see up there we've got the display which shows the date and time and the outside temperature. Also got here the stereo. Hopefully that's not, turn that volume right down. Turn that off, there we go. So got a separate display, and the displays all kind of match in terms of their colour. So yeah, very popular trend in the 2000s to have the binnacle in the middle like this. But you know, no colour displays, nothing like that, no touch screens, just some nice elegant simplicity. Right, I think it's time to go for a drive, viewers. Right, viewers, let's go and have a little drive. Let's turn that fan down, don't need that. It's nice that Fiat considered the needs of the average person, that they would probably want a nice normal handbrake in this car, and also that they want a nice high gear lever, which was kind of the fashion at the time. Things like the Honda Civic, when this car was launched, would have had a nice high gear lever. Of course the Fiat Panda itself had that. I think they were launched the same year actually, 2003, the Mark III Panda and this. Ride seems very compliant. There is quite a lot of body roll, but it's pretty normal really. It's really very high driving position in this, much higher than the contemporary Mark II Punto would have been. There was only one engine available in our market that ran on petrol, this 1.4 95 brake horsepower fire engine. There were also some diesels available, but as usual, due to controversial government legislation and all kinds of other reasons, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. We do talk about is just the fact that this car is quite nice and easy to drive. The gearbox isn't the nicest I've ever used. Clutch is though quite light, the steering is very light. Let's just try the city button temporarily. Okay, we're on city mode. Ugh. I don't like that, viewers. No, I don't like that at all. Around this roundabout and oh dear. Yeah, I've lost all the feel of the steering. I think we're going to turn that off. Mr Richardson did advise me to do that, and he's quite right. The city button, it's not really for me. It's really for people who just want a very, very light experience when they're threading this car through little Italian streets and, you know, complicated car parks, things like that. It's not really for a more demanding driver. I think the Fiat Punto Mark II and the Vauxhall Corsa C were some of the first cars in their class with electric power steering. I think the Fiat Punto Mark II was one of the first cars ever with variable weight steering. Now it's a really common thing. Even my son on Tivoli's got that. But yeah, with steering in normal mode, it's perfectly fine. It's not really a car that you want to particularly hustle down a country road, but that's not really the point of one of these, is it? It just feels very user-friendly. Visibility is absolutely excellent. There's not really any blind spots in this car at all anyway. There's parking sensors on this if you do sort of need something like that to help you out. It's quite pleasant, really. So viewers, should you consider a Fiat Idea with your hard-earned budget up to £1,000? I'm afraid this car is probably not going to be one that you can consider, because I think Mr Richardson has a buyer for this already. But if you could find one of these, it's very, very practical. They don't drive like a sports car, but they weren't designed for that. They were designed to be practical for family use, and certainly this probably would be. I've actually been quite impressed with this, really. Some of the dash isn't wearing particularly well, but the car's over 15 years old. And these are so rare, but actually they do stand out as being quite interesting. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video and comment below. And thank you again to Mr Richardson for letting me drive this lovely idea. And we shall see you again soon for more inexpensive motoring. Lloyd Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below.